Welcome to the 2014 National Youth Summit on Freedom Summer. My name is Nicholas Chemukong, and I'm a student at the University of California, Irvine. Along with my co-hosts Harry Clark and Joy Lyman, I spent the fall semester at the National Museum of American History in Washington, D.C., learning about the Freedom Summer, the Civil Rights Movement, interviewing veterans of the movement, and preparing to host this summit. We are here live in the Old Capitol Museum in Jackson, Mississippi. In this historic space where Mississippi legislators voted on secession and ushered in the 1890 state constitution that restricted the voting rights of African Americans, we will talk with Freedom Summer veterans, youth, and experts about the history and legacy of the 1964 Summer Project. To start the program, we'll begin with a clip from the film Freedom Summer.
Hear that freedom train a-comin'. Hear that freedom train a-comin'. Well, hear that freedom train a-comin'.
Spending a summer in Mississippi taught me a lot about this country. My high school social studies teacher taught me that we all have rights. Mississippi Summer taught me that we didn't all have rights.
Why focus your efforts on voter registration and education?
So let me take the second question first. So I was teaching at Horace Mann School in New York when the sit-ins broke out. And I figured that it was about me and my life in New York as well as about what was happening in the South. So I got down to Atlanta in the summer of 1960. Remember, the sit-ins broke out in February of 1960. And Ella Baker, who was the head of, at that time, Martin Luther King's organization, SCLC, and who had been the midwife for SNCC, sent me over to look at evidence of sit-in activity in Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. And she sent me to Amzie Moore, who was the head of the NAACP in Cleveland, Mississippi. And Amzie was the one who said what the students should do. He said, you need to come to Mississippi and work on voting. We don't need you to come here to work on lunch counter sit-ins, right? So that's how I got involved in actually coming to Mississippi and focused on what Amzie said we should do.
My name is Yasmin Tavares, and this question is for Mr. Robert Moses. Did it ever cross your mind to abandon this program? If so, what do you think the outcome of you doing so would be?
Mr. Gans, my name is Liza Gonzalez from Pittsburgh University Prep at Alliance. You talk about narrative stories being powerful in creating civil rights changes. Can you explain how stories help create changes in grassroots organizing?
Storytelling has everything to do with grassroots organizing because storytelling is how we interpret our lives. It's how we sense of our lives. It's how we communicate the meaning of those lives to others. And it's how others draw insight, instruction, and inspiration from our lives.
What we found is students who felt inequality was inevitable. And we were all finding students who felt hopeless, that change couldn't occur. And we felt if they knew our history as a nation, that they understood the history as one of people being able to make change when they exercised political sovereignty, that they would see the hopefulness we felt.
Having that inside look that, probably a majority of other students don't have, why do you think it's important for a young person to know about the civil rights movement and the history?
I believe it's important for young people my age, in my age range, to know about the civil rights movement because I know a lot of young men and women that go to my school that take the things that we have for granted, per se our education, being able to play on football teams, being able to ride buses, being able to, dine in big fancy restaurants, things like that. We take those things for granted. Young men and women, I feel that if they knew what went down, what happened, during the civil rights movement, that maybe it would, change their point of view towards education, because I know a lot of young men and women that they feel that school is important. I've heard a lot of kids ask teachers, how am I going to use this in life? Well, what they don't understand is in the 60s, during the civil rights movement, they couldn't sit in classrooms they couldn't have the cream of the crop where teachers were concerned. They couldn't get the learning that they're getting at the schools that we go to now back then because of their skin color, because of their race.
We're told that one person can change the world. That's not true. One person working with other people can and has changed the world.
One of the things I hear when I talk to students, whether they're college students, high school students, or middle school students, wherever, maybe in the South or in the North, is the question of where's our generation's Martin Luther King? And the reality is that the story that we're telling today and the story we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of is one that tells us that that's the wrong question to ask. It's not where's our Martin Luther King. It's what role do I play in making this change occur?